Saku, bruv? There's a strange noise coming from the basement.
Dave, why are you out of your cage again?
I needed to tell you there's a strange noise coming from the basement, mate.
Oh, that's Renegade. Shit. Thanks for reminding me.
I see the light. It's horrible.
Hi, Renegade.
Oh god, not this guy. Saku, you really need to stop holding people against their will in your basements.
Is it really that bad, though? I make sure to feed you.
Saku, you imprison an English dude in a cage and then beat him every time he does something, anything.
It's true. He beat me during a review.
Shut the fuck up, Dave.
And as for feeding me fish heads is not a way to treat me if I'm supposed to be your prisoner.
Renegade, shut the fuck up. I come here to ask a favour for you.
You're not going to harvest my organs and sell them on the black market now, are you?
No, it involves the Rumblefish too, mate.
Well, shit, now you caught my attention, so why now?
Well, I fucked up the review for the first game and I need your help to review the second one.
And why should I? I've been locked in your basement for years.
Because if you don't help me, Renegade, I won't feed you anything.
To be fair, death is preferable to constantly eating fish heads.
It won't be fish heads if you help.
So, no freedom?
Renegade, tacos is better than fish heads and freedom.
Well, I'll accept those terms, but you better not beat me or whatever else you do to Dave.
Splendid. Let's go.
Hey everybody, we're going to be bringing to you now a review of a little-known game called The Rumblefish 2, which is personally one of my very favorite fighting games of all time. And if you may or may not already know, The Rumblefish as a series was created by a company called Dimps, which is sort of a jack-of-all-trades company that's best known for developing a bunch of different games, including those in the Dragon Ball, Street Fighter, and Sonic the Hedgehog franchises. And the two main founders of Dimps are Takashi Nishiyama and Hiroshi Matsumoto, who are better known as the co-creators of Street Fighter, Fatal Fury, and Art of Fighting, and even the King of Fighters series. Yeah, both of those guys helped design some of the most iconic fighting game characters from all of those franchises. So, anyway, we're going to be getting straight into the review of Rumblefish 2 from here. And in terms of graphics and animation, the Rumblefish 2 has a very interesting style about it. It has a vector-based style of animation where all of the character sprites are broken up into various pieces, so like the body, the joints, the heads, like every part of their bodies are all animated separately and then strung together, almost as if it were animated in Flash. And it creates a very smooth and interesting, if somewhat jerky look at times, but I think stylistically the game looks really cool. And speaking of style, like I really like the art style for the game. Like it's kind of hard to explain, but like it just has some of that mid-2000s anime energy, which I'm really fond of. And the character designs all appear to be very bright and colorful, which is another thing that I really like about this game, visually speaking. And each of the characters is full of life and expression, and you can see that in like a lot of their attack animations, even their movement animations, and even also their win poses and taunts, and even their idle stances too. Like the game just is just really popping with a lot of life and color and vibrancy, and that's what I like about the game's graphics and art style. And that also kind of brings me to the character roster. In total, there are 16 different characters within the Rumblefish 2, and every single one of them has a very unique and varied appearance and fighting style. Like, for instance, if we go over to Zen, who is the obligatory Shoto type character of the game, he has a very versatile, well-rounded moveset that he doesn't really play that much like Ryu from Street Fighter. Instead, he's more of a mix of Makoto from Third Strike combined with Joe Higashi and Ryo from the King of Fighters series. And then on another hand, you have someone like, say, Hikari, who's kind of like a more aggressive version of Kasumi Toto from KOF. And then another character would be Typhone, who's probably the fastest character in the game, and he has a lot of annoying zoning tools with his fireballs, and he also has a whole assortment of wall jumping moves, where he can jump off a wall, and then there's a bunch of different follow-ups he can do after that. And then you have someone like, say, Auron, who has an assortment of really good zoning tools, but the real meat and potatoes of his gameplay stems from his Rekka system, which has a bunch of different follow-ups, so he has ways to mix you up and pressure you offensively. And then Orville, the big dude with the red shades, he is the trademark grappler of the game. He has a tackle attack that has auto block frames on it. And then he has a power-up activation mode that gives him hyper armor, which can add on to his auto-block tackle. And of course, he has a couple of command grabs that he can use and really high damage output, so he hits like a brick despite not having really long combos. Well, what I like about the characters is just how full of a personality and life they are. Like all of their visual designs are really colorful, and like you could just tell right away from looking at them that each one has their own unique sense of identity. If as much as I love this series, I think the one thing I probably dislike about each character is that their overall character archetypes can seem kind of one note in some regards. But I don't think that's really much of a minus. It's more of a reflection of the era in which this series was created. Like, again, it has a lot of big-time mid-2000s anime energy about it. Oh, and also, musically speaking, the game is just beautiful in terms of its sound and music. I'm a huge fan of the soundtrack for this entire game. And the Rumblefish's soundtrack is mainly comprised of fast tempo electronic music, and the beats are pretty simple, but they're all pretty catchy in their own way. Like personally, I don't have a problem with any of the music in the game. A lot of it, like it really adds to the atmosphere of the game in a way. Like, I remember back in the day when I was in college playing this game, I would often compare the Rumblefish's sound to sort of like Guilty Gear, except with a rave theme instead of a heavy metal theme. And even nowadays that I'm older, I still kind of feel this way about it. Yeah, that musically, I would say, like, Rumblefish is kind of like a rave version of Guilty Gear in some respects. And even some of the characters kind of look like ravers too, if you really think about it, especially Garnet. Alright, so now I want to talk about the controls for the Rumblefish 2. And personally, I don't have a single issue with the controls for this game. Overall, I would say that they feel very responsive and snappy, although there are like a few instances here and there during normal gameplay where certain controls at certain moments can feel a little bit choppy at times. And there's a handful of special or super move command inputs that can feel really complicated to do. Like it has some of the most difficult move inputs I've ever seen in fighting games for certain super moves. But other than that, the controls feel perfectly fine, and I don't think any of the rest of you out there who play this game will experience the same issue. Yeah, overall, the controls feel pretty damn good, I would say. And segueing from the controls into the mechanics for the game, and believe me, there's a hell of a lot of mechanics in this game. I'm gonna start off with the button layout. The Rumblefish 2 is a 5-button game. You have a light punch, heavy punch, light kick, heavy kick, and then you have the 5th button, which is the dodge button, and it serves a multitude of different purposes. And then you have the super meter system, which is broken up into 2 separate but intertwining super gauges. You have a red super meter, which is the offense gauge, and then the blue super meter, which is the defense gauge. And of course, as you'd expect, the red super meter for offense focuses around offensive abilities, and the blue defensive gauge focuses on defensive abilities. And you could use both of those in a lot of different ways. And when both super meters are full, they become a green critical gauge, which allows you to perform your character's critical art, which is their most powerful attack. And going further into the battle mechanics, once you get hit in the air, you're able to do an air tech by simply pressing forward or backward and any button, or just leaving the stick or D-pad in neutral and pressing any button. And you're also able to do an emergency air tech by pressing the dodge button while you're getting hit in the air, and that costs one bar of a blue defense gauge. And you don't gain the invincibility frames from an emergency air tech, but it lets you tech out of hit stun immediately, and you can use that to turn the tide of a battle at a critical moment. And another mechanic is ground recovery. When you get knocked down, you can press either forward or back and the dodge button, and it lets you do a tech roll in either direction. And you can use that to escape from a dangerous situation, but you have to take care when using it because the ground recovery tech roll does not have throw invincibility. So, for instance, someone like Orville can just straight up grab you out of a tech roll if you do it wrong or carelessly.
Oi, Renegade, you forgot something like advanced attack or jolt attack. Ow! Saku, stop hitting me!
Don't worry, I was getting to that. Alright, so the jolt attack. Yes, you have to spend 1 stock of a red offense gauge in order to use that. The jolt attack is an unblockable attack that sends the opponent into a unique floating state in which the background turns red. And you can land the jolt attack in the air as well as on the ground, but in order to get the red floaty background state, you have to land the jolt attack either air to air or ground to ground. Whereas if you land it air to ground or ground to air, then you'll only get a knockdown state on the opponent and not the red floating state. And the jolt attack is pretty cool because you could use it to open somebody up who's blocking a lot. And it has pretty high priority, so the jolt attack can even beat out a lot of specials and even some super moves. So yeah, it's pretty useful for starting combos or for just opening someone up who has really tight defense. And next is the advanced attack. This is another offensive mechanic that costs one stock of your red super meter. And you do this by pressing the both heavy attacks at the same time, whereas with the jolt attack you activate that by pressing both light buttons at the same time. So anyway, back to the advanced attack. What that is it's a dash cancel, kind of like the one in Street Fighter 4, except that the advanced attack has an active hitbox when you perform that mechanic. And you can cancel into any normal you can cancel into the advanced attack from any normal, but you can also do it on neutral. So not only is it a tool that you can use to extend combos, but you can also use it on neutral to try and beat out somebody's attack, or even just to start offense from out of nowhere. Alright, now all of this leads into the question of whether or not you should play and or buy the Rumblefish 2. And personally, I say that you should play and buy this game, because Dimps deserves all the support for making a really great fighting game. And one of the reasons why I feel that you should play and buy this game is if you really want to support more quirky and unconventional fighting games like this one here. And As for its availability, you can play it on Fightcade, and also if you want to support the company directly, it does have a modern port for Steam as well as on Nintendo Switch, PS4, PS5, the Xbox Series X and S, and I believe it's also on Xbox One too. Yeah, on top of it being on Steam, so you have about five, six, technically 7 different platforms to buy the game on.
Well, Renegade, that was definitely helpful. A lot better than my, review for the first one. Thanks for helping out.
Oh, no problem. I'm always glad to spread more word about the Rumblefish. This game, in terms of its mechanics and gameplay, is very ahead of its time. Yeah, a lot of the stuff that it did actually predates some of the mechanics and character archetypes.
Yeah, that's great, Renegade. yeah, that's great. Get back in the fucking basement.
Oh man, but I was beginning to enjoy being out of that basement. Why do I have to go back?
Renegade, I swear to Allah, if you don't get back in there, I will beat you. Get back in the fucking basement.
Fine.
And as
all right, fine. I'm going.
And as for the rest of you, remember to like, comment, and subscribe if you so choose to. I've been Saku, and this pleb has been Renegade. You all can fuck off now.